That's Walt.
Hey, this is senior Hawgball analyst Noah.
And
This is Hawgball.
Okay, right on. I am, even though this last Mizzou game was very questionable in terms of how I feel about it, I'm excited to talk about it. How about you, Walt?
I am too, and I don't want to drop any hints. I like talking about the Razorbacks. I like talking about the Hogs.
But if you've taken a hint from our visual aid over here,
they really want to be a part of the story, don't they?
We've tried to keep them out of the story all year, but they shoved themselves into the limelight on this one,
making us ignore some issues. There's some things we could do better, but these guys, they're not making us want to whine. They're not making us want to give excuses. They're making us want to do an intervention on a crisis, on a problem.
yeah, really. Okay, but before we get into the refs, I do want to just recap the game a little bit on everything but the officiating. I honestly, I thought the guys played well given all the foul trouble throughout the game. Like Ricky went out early, Jordan went out early. Darian Ford was playing minutes. I thought his minutes were solid.
Tickled. We were pleased. We were telling each other even after the game. I mean, we both had a headache, but we were pleased with a lot of things.
In terms of compared to the last few games, I thought it was a much better performance, and we showed on the road 23 of 26 from the free throw line. Now that is a vast improvement. Now we have to see if that continues, obviously, and that's no guarantee at all. But it's a step in the right direction. I think Mekhi Mitchell was 5 of 6. That's just a sign of what we need to do to be successful down the road. And when you're in March, free throws decide a lot of games down the stretch.
Hey, a lot of the things that we were really worried about and we were discussing, the Razorbacks have to improve here. We got to improve here. They took care of about all those problems. They just got new things caused by things we'll talk about. But yeah, Anthony Black, I think, is 3-point shooting. They're talking,
he's got
Jordan
himself
Walsh,
up. He's shooting like 32% on the year now from three.
He's 3 for his last 7 or something like that. Jordan Walsh was 2 for 2.
He didn't miss a shot from the free throw line or from the field in that game, actually.
Both of those 3-pointers were from the dish from Anthony Black.
Yes, sir. And going off of that, this might be Anthony Black's. Now, what really lost us the game down the stretch, and even without the fouls, we would have won this game if we didn't commit so many stupid turnovers. But I like to think that those turnovers are very fixable. They really are just coming from us being not locked in. And the two that really hurt us was Kamani and Jalen Graham toward the end of the game after we had the 10-point lead and we were kind of letting it dissipate. There were 2 huge turnovers from those guys.
So wait, I remember, so Devo fouled out and joined Mitchell on the bench, and that's when Brown made 2 free throws, and then Jalen had that turnover on the next possession.
I think so.
What happened with Kamani?
Well, Kamani, I think it was a rebound from a free throw, either that or we inbounded it to him, and then they stole it right off of right away from him, and it was really it was a killer. But going off what I was saying, if you look at all around stats besides the turnovers from Anthony Black, 15 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. That's my point guard right there.
My goodness.
That's a great stat line from your point guard. And Devo, he had the 6 turnovers. Anthony had the 5 turnovers, and Mizzou's a team that likes to turn you over, but you can't commit 21 turnovers in a game. And a lot of them were just extremely careless. But also, when you have careless turnovers, those are fixable turnovers, in my opinion. And I just think down the stretch that a lot of those will just get off our radar. I think we'll get better from there.
Do your notes there say that we shot 26 free throws?
Yeah.
That's a lot of free throws, and we made all those. Surely,
well, yeah, but
you know how many more than that?
Let's look at the box score here. Missouri shot 40 free throws, and
40
I guess
plus 20. What? 66 free throws
attempted in a basketball game. In a 40-minute basketball. Yeah, in a 40-minute basketball game, you had over 1.5 free throws per minute.
If you take 66 free throws in a game I gave you the ball and you shoot 66, they're going to have to have commercial breaks.
Okay, but going off of that, this is what's going to blow your mind and you Razorback fans out there. In our last three games, Missouri, Alabama, and Vanderbilt, there have been a total of 151 fouls called in those 3 games.
3 games?
86 of those fouls have been called on Arkansas.
I'm not great at math, but 151 in 3 games, that's over 50 fouls a game called.
Yes.
That's on not average. Fun to watch.
That's horrible. That's ruining the product. And if you are interested in watching a free throw contest / monitor watching, professional monitor watching,
whistleblowing.
Yeah, whistleblowing. It's just what are you're ruining the product. You got the most athletic league in the country. The most athletes come here. It's a physical game. It should be the most physical league in the country. But these foul calls, they have to stop. I mean, it's just ruining the watching experience. I had Mizzou fans texting me saying that was one of the most ridiculous games I've ever watched. It was a whistle every 20 seconds.
We weren't debating which player made the aggressive play and should be called with a foul. We're like, where did he touch him?
Yeah.
Did they? I mean, it's like good defense. It's that Jordan Walsh, he gets called for a lot of bad fouls, but you can't play the kind of defense he plays in the SEC.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like Coach Muss said, he's never had a team that he's coached have 4 guys. I've never seen a team have 4 players foul out in a game. And in case of some of you don't know, the SEC actually came out with a statement. This is the only statement that SEC officiating has come out with on any basketball game this entire year. And it says, with 43 seconds remaining in the second half of Arkansas at Missouri men's basketball game on January 18th, the officials got on their knees and blew the game. No, wow. I'm just kidding. That's only not what it says. Hawgball. Yeah, that is only on Hawgball. But what it really says is the official called a player control foul against an Arkansas player. That was Devo Davis. That was his 5th foul. That came into contact with a Missouri defender who was inside the restricted area arc. By rule, the location of the player in relation to the restricted area arc is reviewable in the last 2 minutes of a contest. You remember, they went to the monitor, and if you were listening to Chuck Barrett on the call, or if you were listening to the ESPN SEC Network broadcast, you would have said, oh, it looks like this guy's foot is in the restricted arc.
We're going to give the ball back.
We're going to get 2 free throws, and Devo's not going to foul out. Well, when the officials on site went to review the play, the video replay center incorrectly communicated to them that the play was not reviewable. Therefore, the play stood as called on the floor. So that's the first paragraph. Then they say, the SEC collaborative replay process has provided accurate and efficient outcomes since it was implemented in 2017. 2017. And all on-court and replay officials are evaluated on an ongoing basis. Performance evaluations are used to determine game assignments, SEC tournament, and postseason tournament assignments. The SEC... does that include firing some guys that are really... I mean, I don't think it's the on-court officials' fault in this particular foul. I mean, you could talk about the other ones, the 5th foul on Walsh and the 5th foul on Mitchell.
They have been there at the monitor the whole game. But this is... They knew they got it wrong. They went to the monitor, and how is it communicated to them? I mean, at least they're coming out and admitting it, but we can't get that win back in our column. And if you don't know, that was when the game was tied. We had the ball. We would have been going to the line for 2 shots. Devo. Instead, Devo fouls out. We have to bring a new player onto the floor, and it's going the other way. Mizzou ball with less than 2 full shot clocks remaining in the game. And just something to mention there, when Devo goes out, all of a sudden we've got Jalen Graham, Joseph Pinion, and Darian Ford. Love all three of them. But
those aren't our starters.
I mean, we're not whining about Nick Smith and TB right now. We're talking about even the guys that were on the floor had 3 or 4 fouls. And I'm sorry to complain about it. Go ahead, Noah.
Yeah. Well, and really, this has been coming for a while because, I mean, we've wanted to complain about these officials, but you know, the Arkansas team hasn't done a whole lot to deserve to win a lot of these games, and you know, you hate to complain about officials because, you know, that's something that you can't control.
That we can get better if we're concentrating on
but
that.
I encourage all of you to go on Twitter. There's an account called @TannerHog.
H-O-G.
H-O-G, not H-A-W-G. But he put together a fantastic compilation, put some Curb Your Enthusiasm music behind it. But it was about a compilation of 5 or 6 foul calls that were all, I mean, very ridiculous. And I think that there were calls that went against Mizzou as well. We got some good calls, and I'm not going to act like
when you shoot 66 free throws.
And I'm not going to act like the Gonzaga game last year. We didn't have some calls go in our favor in the Gonzaga game last year, getting Chet Holmgren fouled out. And these things go both ways, but really after what we've seen in these last 3-4, pretty much all of SEC play, I mean, something has to be said. Something has to be done in terms of holding these officials accountable. And I
think they need to let the kids play some basketball.
Really, let these athletes do what they came here to do. But wow, that just got me really riled up. Is there anything else you want to say on the note of the referees or Mizzou?
Just want to say we tried there real hard just to talk about basketball there, and I can't overemphasize that the officials are the story. And we might not have been talking about the officials.
They made themselves the story.
Yeah, we might not have been talking about the officials last time you watched Hawgball, but national sportscasters were. They're talking about what's going on in the SEC. I tuned into Alabama, Arkansas, and there's 50-plus free throws shot. There's a problem. Houston, we have a problem, and it's in the SEC officiating. But you go ahead. I want to talk basketball. I want to talk about Jordan Walsh not sitting on the bench with 2 fouls in the first half every game.
And it felt like his game was there, and I'm not going to act like that Makai and Jordan Walsh do need to work on defending without fouling at times. There are some times where they commit stupid fouls, but
once again, the officials have made them the story.
There have been a lot of calls going against them that really make no sense at all, and it has to be addressed.
I bet they're having some. Surely they're at least having a staff meeting in the SEC. I mean, they're going, okay, guys, there's going to be a lot of eyes on the SEC officials on Saturday. I mean, it's not like we're trying to brawl on the basketball court. We're just trying to play basketball. I mean, last year's games, you know, Arkansas, Tennessee's were games where they were physical. They were physical basketball. But they're calling Vanderbilt, Arkansas like that. They're calling Missouri, Arkansas. Missouri's a finesse team. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I guess they did shoot a lot more than we did, but somehow we were still in the game.
Yeah, and I think it was a step in the right direction. Like we were saying earlier, Missouri shot 30 of 40 from the free throw line. They scored 79 points.
40
so that is, I mean, more than a quarter of their points coming from the free throw line. They only scored
over half their points.
No, it's not.
If they scored,
they scored 30 from the free throw line.
I got you.
That's okay. We're not here to do math, you know.
Yeah, I was looking at the 40 attempted.
Yeah, but still, that's a very large chunk of their points coming from the free throw line. I thought we defended them pretty well. I mean, Kobe Brown got his 6 of 10 from the field, and Golston gave us some trouble. He had a very good game, but I mean, other than that, I thought we played pretty well defensively. But it's just we're getting there, and like Muss said, the competitive level was there. These kids wanted to win. You could see with Anthony Black in the post-game interview, he was pissed that that
that foul wasn't called on his last shot. The one time they didn't blow the whistle.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there was that.
They probably knew they were in trouble.
But he did say we got to figure out how to defend without fouling, and I don't think he's wrong. I mean, we have to be doing something wrong to get that many fouls called on us, but I think it's also the way that the game's being officiated is a large part of that. But either way, if they're going to keep calling the game like this, I guess we'll have to adjust. But that kind of goes against our nature in terms of our identity of the way that Coach Muss's teams play with very aggressive physical defense.
It's amazing that they have those safeguards that you got the video replay in case it really matters and you got to get it right. Well, we used that and they didn't get it right.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. The only other thing we've got to talk about today is Ole Miss, which is turning into just about pretty close to a must-win game.
It's like two prize fighters. Both teams 1-5.
Yes, both teams are 1-5 in the SEC. A real heavyweight bout.
I think Ole Miss, just what the doctor ordered for these young Razorbacks.
Well, and I'm
going to go out on a limb.
But something about this team tells me that this isn't going to be the easy win that it's scripted up to be. I certainly hope that it is, and I'm sure. Let's see. We should have the spread on that game. I'll pull that up in a second. But I assume we're heavy favorites. But I mean, Ole Miss is a good team. They played Tennessee very close. They lost to them by 4. Their other losses, I mean, they played a tough schedule and they won. They've won. They're coming off a road win at South Carolina, who a lot of people say is the worst team in the league. But they beat Kentucky. They won at Kentucky.
At Arena, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, every game in the SEC is going to be tough. Their losses are to Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, and Mississippi State, who are all having decent years this year. But when you look at Ole Miss, really they struggle to score the ball. They've got Matthew Morrell, a 6'4" guard, is leading them in scoring. The only person above 10 points per game. He's at 15.6 points per game.
Don't be surprised to see Devo guard.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I think that this works in our favor in terms of we have one of the best defenders in the SEC in Devo Davis, especially. Devo's a 6'4", 6'5" guard. I mean, this is a perfect guy for him to hopefully lock up. And then the rest of it, I mean, they don't have a lot of size. I think we're going to have the advantage in terms of size and athleticism. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them zone us a lot. And offensively, we've been playing well. I think this would surprise a lot of people to know that we are third in the SEC in points scored per game at 76.2. I know we've talked about the offensive struggles, and yes, we played a lot of cupcake games early in the year, but we have been able to put the ball in the hole the last few games at least.
It seems like here in SEC play, the reason that statistic seems so crazy is because we haven't just had our offense on all cylinders.
Not at all.
When they get on all cylinders,
exactly,
the whistle gets blown, and they can't get any momentum. It just doesn't seem like. But those numbers, I mean, I was looking at field goal percentages in the last few games. It's nothing like last year. This team is being pretty efficient with the ball, especially if you take away those turnovers you were mentioning.
Yeah.
They're doing all right. They just got to get those shots off.
Yeah, I just think that turnover number is going to go down at some point. I just think Muss is too good of a coach, and I know it's a young team, and that's probably why there are so many turnovers. And Devo Davis is the type of player that
gonna have turnovers.
He's gonna have a few turnovers in a game, but he's also gonna make a lot of plays. And I think we both say he's been our best player in SEC play. Still had 18 points and 9 rebounds. in the Missouri game. But if you look at Ole Miss in the Ken Palm ratings, they are 89th, and Vanderbilt is 90th. They rank teams in terms of efficiency.
So, for you guys thinking it's an easy win, that Vanderbilt team is behind them. The Vanderbilt team that beat us.
Yep, it's not going to be an easy game at all. And the 11 o'clock start, who knows? Like, we're hoping that there will be a big crowd there. Yeah, the 11 o'clock start, you never know how rowdy they're going to get. But, I mean, it's Bud Walton Arena, and I expect the fans to be there in numbers. And it's
I sure hope so.
Yeah, but by no means an easy game. And Ole Miss, I mean, they play good defense, and I think it's really going to be down to our size that really beats them in this game.
I'm wondering, I hope that, that game's, I bet we're going to look back at that game against Missouri, and there's going to be a lot of good things that came out of it. Darian Ford got in the game. A lot of those guys got experience that they never would have gotten. And he was solid.
I really feel that way about the Missouri game, in that could turn into the turning point of our season.
They could have the me against the world attitude.
It's exactly. And but it all starts with this game against Mississippi, and I mean, it's a game you really can't afford to lose. I'll still believe in these guys if they lose, but
not gonna happen.
I really don't think it's gonna happen. We forgot. Happy birthday, Anthony Black. Almost got a triple-double in his last game as an 18-year-old.
He's a diaper dandy.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I guess he's still underage.
Yeah, he's underage, but this is for you, Anthony. Cheers. Happy birthday. We wish you nothing but the best in your 19th trip around the sun.
He's a mature player now. He's a veteran.
This will be his 20th trip around the sun. He's just started his 20th.
I make me do math again. Boy, he was unconscious in those last couple possessions.
Yeah, really. I mean, that shows you, even if we don't have Nick Smith late in the game, we know who we want the ball. We want the ball in Anthony Black's hands.
He pulled up, hit that three. He went all the way coast to coast. Players in him in traffic.
Yeah, there are a lot of things to like. As I know, we're 1-5, and people are saying, yeah, we've never made the NCAA tournament when we've started 1-5 in conference. It hasn't happened very often. But I mean, I really don't think this team's going to miss the tournament. But right now, it's just a one game at a time type of deal. And we know how good this team is going to be, and it sounds like, we might get Nick Smith back at some point. Right when we're clicking on all cylinders, we add that to the lineup. I mean, that could be I wouldn't want to play that team.
I wouldn't want to play us right now either without Nick Smith, but with Nick Smith, it's real exciting. If they keep it up right now, there's going to be a lot of teams we owe paybacks to, so the SEC tournament might be fun.
Yeah. Oh, we might have to go down to Nashville for that. This does feel like a type of year where we might just run the table at that SEC tournament, which we haven't. I mean, we haven't performed all that well. I think we made the championship one of those years and lost to Kentucky, but
the last time we had Knowles last year, we won the SEC tournament to get into the tournament. They ran the table. They won 4 games and four wins in 4 days. And it's the kind of team that could do that too. But there's a lot of basketball to be played before that.
And right now the boys need to just focus on Ole Miss. And I really think it's a favorable matchup for us. But we got to handle their guy, Mr. Matthew Morrell. I think that's the key.
I'm ready for our guys to know what it feels like to win again.
Yep. And, like a lot of people have been saying, if we want to look at just a little bit ahead, we've got LSU at home on Tuesday after that, and then we look forward to Saturday, Big 12 SEC Challenge. We go to Baylor, which could be, if we could win that game, would be very good for our NCAA tournament resume, and it won't affect our conference. It won't, and it won't look too bad if we lose that game either, because that's a ranked Baylor team that's starting to hit their stride.
We're taking it one game at a time, but gosh,
This
sure would be good to come back a little over a week from now and have our record looking a little different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the path to 5-5 in conference play. Now you don't want to get ahead of yourselves here,
but we're gonna go ahead.
But we're gonna go ahead and do that because we're not on the team. But the path to 5-5 is it's definitely doable. We have versus Ole Miss at home, against LSU at home, Texas A&M at home. Good squad. I don't think they've lost an SEC game yet. No, they're 5-0. And then we have at South Carolina to get to 5-5. So this has been a tough start to the schedule. You know that looking back on it, that LSU loss really hurts because that was a horrible, really a bad performance against a team that's their only SEC win. But other than that, against Missouri, we beat Missouri at home. Auburn, Alabama, Vanderbilt, who just shot the lights out in the second half, and then Missouri, who is on the border of being a ranked team. It gets a little easier, and then it ramps up again. It's the SEC. No game is easy.
It ramps up again, and so will we be ramped up about then too.
Yeah.
I love my Razorbacks, and I always feel okay and feel good. We're going to get through it as long as I know I get to see them again, which we do. There's a lot of basketball to be played. This team's got a lot of opportunities to win some games.
Well, and as much as I would love to chase an SEC regular season title, I don't think that means a whole lot. I don't think that's ever meant a whole lot to Coach Muss. He wants his teams to play well after the regular season.
Yeah,
and that's what he's had him doing the last few years. So I'm gonna keep trusting him. And honestly, that's our best performance in 4 games. So things are on the rise.
Doing good. It makes you mentioned LSU, boy. We really played bad basketball. You take the LSU game, the second half of that Vandy game, most of the first half of Missouri at home, and everything else, we've been as good as anybody. We're playing good basketball. They're just young. They got to put it all together and have a complete game.
Yeah, a 40-minute game. We have yet to see a 40-minute game other than maybe that Oklahoma game or the Bradley game, but those were both with Nick Smith in the lineup.
Well, I'm excited. Noah, I'd like to do more hog ball, maybe get a couple times in the week. Most teams that start losing, a lot of people don't want to talk about it. I'm just hungry. I'm hungry for a win. I want to talk about it. I'm ready to watch basketball. I'm ready to win.
Yep, let's do it. Go Hogs.
Let's call those Hogs, y'all, and let's go win. And refs, get a grip.
Get a fucking grip.
Refs, don't blow the whistle.
Peace out.
Later, only on Hawgball.